I'm back. It's Tuesday, not Monday, but I'm here. So let's get things started, shall we? Why, yes, we shall. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the permission. All right. What's up, everybody? Coming to you live from Queens, New York. It's the morning afternoon live show. It's windy. It's kind of cold outside, but it's not that bad. But I am here coming at you right now. What's up, everybody? Your boy Renee back in the house on this fine Tuesday afternoon, morning / evening, depending on where you're hailing from. Where are you hailing from? Let me know in the chat. But I am here, and it's clear to me that the internet is they're just angry. Angry because they want something to complain about. And if there's one bad thing about this whole AI situation, it's now turning into a lazy criticism. Because everything that anyone wants to criticize nowadays, the easy way to criticize it, it's like, oh, it looks like AI. This is AI. Well, the latest victim of this internet criticism, this lazy internet criticism, is the latest teaser that James Gunn put out there for his Superman movie coming out. It's a small teaser, lasted only 30 seconds, and it was meant for TV. It was a TV spot. But it was 3 of those 30 seconds, 3 seconds of that had drove the internet mad. And we'll talk about that later. And apparently now everyone hates Superman, and no one wants this movie to do well. So we'll see what happens. But along with that, we'll also be going over the usual weekend box office stuff. Very, very quiet, very slow weekend at the box office. It's going to be so quick to talk about because really nothing happened. Nothing happened. If anything, people should be excited for those who wanted to watch movies at home this week because we had a week filled with new releases. Moana 2. It surprised me that Disney didn't follow through with their plans that they did with Deadpool and Wolverine, Inside Out 2. Instead, they put out Moana 2 on digital, premium on demand, this week, starting today, starting this morning. So the movie came out, November? So very short window this time around. I'm wondering if it's because they wanted to get ahead of the real bad criticism of this movie and take advantage of as much curiosity as they can make while the movie is still fresh and still hot, right? Because it killed it at the box office. It was the surprise hit of the holidays. Surprising to someone like me who watched it and didn't like it, right? But, there you go. As we've said here on the channel multiple times, quality does not dictate performance, usually, when it comes to movies. So, especially when you're Disney and you have a very, very popular IP, right? So, yeah, but along with that, we had movies like Baby Girl came out this week on demand. So if you wanted to check out that Nicole Kidman movie from A24 that a lot of people were talking about, that's available to watch. Den of Thieves 2 came out, 3 weeks ago, it feels like. And now it's available on digital right now. It's crazy. It's crazy how these windows from theater to digital it's just all over the place. There's no standards anymore. I miss the days where it was standard that usually 6 months to a year before you could get something on digital. Now, and again, and this is not new. I've talked about this before. Mainly because of the pandemic. That's what changed the landscape of digital, right? And streaming and everything. So I was hoping that studios were going to follow through very much along the Disney way. When they decided not to release Inside Out 2 on digital for a very long time. And you could see they benefited from the box office because of that. Same with Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Even though Deadpool and Wolverine was guaranteed money, that was for sure going to guarantee huge box office results. But because of the delay on putting it on digital, more people went to the theater to watch it or rewatch it, watch it a fourth time, sixth time, whatever the case is, right? So we'll see, and then look at the top movies of the holidays. Moana 2, big hit at the box office, now on digital. Very shortly after, Wicked. Warner Brothers decide, you know what, we ain't gonna wait. Let's just push it out there right away as soon as possible. That's already on digital as of what, a couple of weeks ago. Nosferatu, already on digital, right? Mufasa. I don't think Mufasa has yet to come out on digital, I believe. I wonder what Disney is going to do with that. Let's see. Mufasa digital release. February 4th. So in next week. So this is also following suit, keeping the very short release window for digital for their movies. So that's going to be really, really interesting to see how the response is going to be for Mufasa, because right now Mufasa is killing it at the box office. You'll see when we go over the box office weekend numbers, the weekend box office numbers, that Mufasa is still doing really well, despite, again, like I said, a very, very slow, quiet weekend at the movies for a lot of people. Even me, I didn't get to see any new movies this past weekend, mainly because I was busy, and mainly also, and secondly, I shouldn't say mainly I was busy. Secondly, because the movies I were curious about, but at the same time, I wasn't chomping at the bit to go out there and watch it immediately. I'm curious about Flight Risk. I really am. I want to see that new Presence movie because that looks very interesting and intriguing to me. But didn't go to the movies at all. So I hope to catch up on that this week. But I did get to see a movie last week, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Got a chance to see a nice screening of a movie that's coming out this week that I think a lot of people are going to like. So we'll see. But yeah, without further ado, let's go into our first topic today. I'm pretty tired. I don't know if you could notice the energy is kind of low. So I don't know how long I'm going to be live today, but hopefully I'll be live long enough to provide some entertainment and value to you watching, whether you're watching live or on demand. So without further ado, let us go into our first topic this morning, and that is the weekend box office breakdown. As I do every Monday, usually, today's Tuesday, so it's an exception, I go over the weekend's box office performance with the new movies and everything coming out, see who was on top, see who suffered a little bit, see what people were interested in watching and supporting. So, like I said, this weekend was a very, very slow weekend. I'm here on thenumbers.com, my favorite site to catch up on all the data and numbers related to the box office. And number one was Mel Gibson's Flight Risk. Yes, this is a Mel Gibson directed movie, whether you like it or not, starring Mark Wahlberg. From Lionsgate, it was number one at the weekend at $11.5 million domestically. I don't know if this has an international rollout yet. Very small international rollout, 707,000. Okay. So I don't know how well a movie like this is going to do internationally. But international audience don't seem to care much about the controversies behind Mel Gibson so much. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if they roll this out further. But the subject matter also, I don't think gels more with an international audience. So I don't know how well that's going to do. Coming in second place is Mufasa the Lion King from Walt Disney. Like I said, Mufasa still continues to do very well at the box office. $8.5 million domestically so far. Domestic grand total at the box office, 220 million, with an international of 406 million, putting together the worldwide total of $627 million. This is very well on its way to probably getting around $800 million worldwide in total, because the international box office is very strong with this movie. Now, things might change, obviously, when it hits digital next week, but I think it's still going to have some decent legs for this week going into the following week. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye out on Mufasa, the most mediocre movie that's doing very well at the box office, and beating Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which I feel was a more superior movie. But what do I know, right? Coming in third place is One of Them Days. That's the Keke Palmer movie, the comedy from Sony Pictures. $8 million domestically, $25.1 million over its full run so far. So I think that is doing well for Sony Pictures there. Haven't seen it yet, but I'm hearing pretty decent stuff about it. So I don't know when I'm going to have a chance to catch it, but I hope to catch it real soon. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 coming in fourth place, pulling in $5.3 million over the weekend domestically, 225.9 so far during its domestic run, almost equaling the performance internationally, 220.4 million. So a worldwide box office total of $446 million, but at the same time, underperforming compared to Mufasa and Moana 2 at the box office. So go figure. A movie that I thought was far superior above those two, and it's not doing as great as they are. So again, it goes to show you IP and studio sometimes still plays very heavily on audiences. Speaking of Moana 2, that's still doing well at the box office, coming in fifth place domestically, $4.1 million over the weekend, 449 million domestic run so far, international 576 million, over $1 billion worldwide. It is crazy how well this movie is performing, and I'm curious how well it's going to do digitally this week, since it's now available to purchase online. So no news yet as to when it's going to hit Disney Plus. I'm assuming now that it's on digital, I would probably give it 2 to 3 months before it hits Disney Plus. We'll see. They tend to prolong that rollout a little bit longer than normal, but we'll see what happens there. The new movie Presence, the movie I mentioned that I wanted to check out, Steven Soderbergh. This is a brand new thriller from Neon, $3.3 million domestically. This is a kind of movie that may be good and may have good word of mouth. Also, Steven Soderbergh. I mean, the poster alone. It does kind of worry me though that they have to put a poster out there that highlights all of Steven Soderbergh's hits: Sex, Lies, and Videotape, Out of Sight, Aaron Brockovich, Traffic, Ocean's 11, Contagion, Magic Mike, Unsane. It shows me that the studio kind of doesn't have that much confidence that people will just watch the movie for the movie. But if you look at the overall box office total, that could be a sign as to something they were fearing, I guess, going into the release of this movie. But a movie like this, especially in January, which is supposedly a slow month for the box office, you can't really expect big numbers out of your movies releasing this month. However, the horror and thriller genre does do really well in January. And we've seen that happen over the past several years with hits like Megan. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but that movie from the people who are what is that? So the new movie coming out this week is Companion, right? And it's from the same people who did Barbarian. Now, Barbarian, I think, came out in January. Let's see. Hold on. When did this come out? Release date. Oh, it actually came out in September. Okay, so I'm completely wrong about that. Well, anyway, January does have a history of doing really well for horror and the thriller genre. So a movie like Presence, even though you only see $3.3 million, I'm pretty sure they weren't expecting much from this movie. Unlike Wolfman, I think Universal was hoping Wolfman will take off more. And don't take this as a sign of the quality of the movie. I actually thought Wolfman was a pretty good movie. I think it's just marketing has been a little off, and a lot of people just don't really know that these movies are out, right? So I'm pretty sure Presence will probably get decent word of mouth, but it's having a big competition this week with the new Companion movie coming out. But yeah, and I'm sure budgets, especially for Wolfman, were not so big on movies like this. So, but Steven Soderbergh does kind of draw big attention. So it'll be interesting to see their reactions to this box office performance. But Yeah, Presence came in 6th. Jester is in the building. What's going on, Jester? Nice seeing you as always. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm waiting for that Snowman movie to compete with Wolfman at the box office. Speaking of Wolfman, that came in 7th place over the weekend, $3.2 million, $17.6 million overall during its domestic run, 9 million, 9.8 internationally for 27.7 million. I still think, because this is a Blumhouse production, that this is doing well for them, because Blumhouse budgets are very low, usually between the 10 to 20 million mark. So I think Wolfman is doing okay. Coming in 8th place, A Complete Unknown, the Timothée Chalamet movie from James Mangold from Searchlight. Timothée Chalamet was on SNL this past weekend, so this may bring more attention to his movie. But that came in 8th place, $3 million overall during the weekend, 62.9 domestically so far, with a complete worldwide box office total of $74.1 million. So pretty decent there. I'm pretty sure Searchlight was kind of hoping for more, but for a movie like this, I think that is to be expected, especially in this time, in this day and age of movie going and movie theaters and all that. Den of Thieves 2 from Lionsgate, $2.9 million over the weekend. I'm sure a lot of those people who went to see it in the box office might be a little disappointed to know that it's now out on digital as of today. They could have watched it at home, but still people went out there to support it. $31.8 million domestically so far. Internationally, $7 million. Worldwide, $39.3 million overall. The Brutalists rounds out the top 10 from A24. I'm pretty sure mainly because of the Oscar buzz for its nominations of Adrian Brody and Best Picture and all that stuff. $2.8 million domestically, $9.3 million overall domestic. Worldwide total 11.7, but I am curious how far they reach internationally. It's also a tough movie to judge how it will perform box office wise. You could see it has an uptick because they started releasing it more into more theaters. Again, mostly because of the Oscar buzz and all that. But The Brutalist is a 3-hour plus movie. I think it clocks in around 3 hours and 40 minutes. It has a built-in intermission in between, and it's a period piece. So a movie like this can be a hard thing to commit to for a lot of people, especially going to the box office. I think it's well worth it. I thought it was a very well done movie, very well directed, very well edited. I love the cinematography in it. Adrian Brody is at his best. Ignore the whole AI discourse online. It doesn't take away from his physical and presence and the performance that he puts forth on this film. So what? They use the AI to kind of tune the voice a little bit. For me, I don't see a big deal out of that, but I'm sure a lot more people will bitch and complain. It's the internet. People like to bitch and complain, and we'll be talking about that a lot later. But anyways, there you go. That's The Brutalist. Outside of the top 10, you have Wicked, Brave the Dark, another release from Angel Studios, Nosferatu, Baby Girl, all that good stuff. Most of those movies you can now watch at home. So that recaps the weekend box office. Again, this week we got a brand new thriller from the folks who brought you Barbarian, Companion, and a family-friendly film for the kids. Something dog, police dog, whatever you want to call it. It's a dog. Cartoon dog. He's a police officer. I'm sure kids will love it. They'll eat it up. That's what they're going to do. They're going to eat it up like a hot dog. What? No, you don't eat dogs. At least not in this country. What am I talking about? I don't know what's going on. Let's check in with the chat. Jester, oh, you aren't ready for my Snowman film. Oh, believe me, I'm ready for anything. Born ready. Arnold's in the building. I'm doing well, Arnold. I'm a little tired today. So I apologize in advance if my energy's low or if I'm kind of loopy. I'm saying crazy stuff. Yes, Yoda is a racist. Arnold showed me a video of Yoda being racist, and I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe it. Yoda, what happened to you? What happened? I had no idea this was in you this whole time. But I guess, you know, you've been alive for 800 plus years. You're very old school in your ways of thinking. Like my mom, like other parents of that generation. Sucks. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. What can you do? That's life. That's life. That's life. Oh, that's what people say. Joker 2 bombed. I really have no idea where I'm going today. Jester saying you aren't ready for the story of H.R. Wilkerson. Says you. Sounds like a challenge. I'm down to accept that challenge. Whatever you want to throw down at me, let's go. Arnold saying I'm okay can be better. I'm assuming you still haven't heard back from your job or the potential job, which sucks. I know you've been waiting a long time for that, but hopefully you can hear something back soon. I keep saying that every week. I wish they would just call you already and just say something instead of dragging you along the mud and all that. Wait and wait and wait. You know, it's not cool to wait. It's cool to masturbate. No, what? You blew it!
I'm gonna come.
What the hell am I saying? I don't know. I'm going off the rails. Jester saying, oh, and for anyone interested, Saturday Night just released on Netflix. Oh, thanks for the heads up. Saturday Night was a sleeper comedy hit, I think, in my opinion, of last year. Especially if you're a fan of those behind-the-scenes type movies, very chaotic energy. If you're a fan of movies like Spinal Tap, a lot of the Christopher Guest movies, you know, like Best in Show, A Mighty Wind, you know, something that kind of gives you a peek behind the curtain of how things are put together. It's great, this movie, knowing that this is based off of a real thing. Obviously, we all know Saturday Night Live. If you're a fan of SNL like I am, I used to watch all the old episodes when they used to show them on Nick at Night way back in the day. So I remember vividly that first episode that aired, and seeing how everything was like nicely put together. But you know, you never know what the chaos was like behind the scenes. Plus, I really liked a lot of the performances from those people who were portraying like Chevy Chase, James Belushi, sorry, not James, John Belushi, Gilda Radner. I had no idea Billy Crystal could have been on that show. So it's nice seeing some behind the scenes input on that. The whole Uncle Morty, you know, and all that stuff. It was just a very fun and funny, chaotic movie. And I obviously a lot of people didn't really see it out there. So now that it's on Netflix, I'm sure it's going to get more eyes on it. And I'm pretty sure, like Netflix says all the time, every time a new movie comes out, oh, this is the #1 movie ever on Netflix. Well, because there's nothing else to watch. And people were just waiting this whole time. So, what the hell? Arnold just deleted something in German. I was about to read it. I'm kind of upset. You didn't give me a chance to, you know, practice my German. But anyway. Jester, oh, and the weekly Jester recap. Didn't have much movies this week. I only had time for one film because I have been writing the script for my film. Well, Jester, which movie is that? I would love to know which movie you watched. Let us know. And if anyone else watched any other movie, please chime in. Let's talk about it. Before we get into our next topics of the morning. Drum roll, please. I still don't have a drum roll, but I have this. Arnold, you're not stupid. But it's okay to forget. But you're not stupid. Jester watched Dallas Buyers Club with Matthew McConaughey, I believe, right? Matthew McConaughey is in that movie. And wasn't Jared Leto in that movie too? Am I remembering that correctly? Quick fact, I have not seen that movie. I don't know why. It's just a movie that I have not seen. Arnold asking, have you already seen the series that is scheduled to come out in 2026 of Star Wars named Clone Uprising? I have not. Is that Is that confirmed? Is that legit? Is that really true? Are you joking? Are you lying? Are you bullshitting me? Are you high? Are you drunk? Are you German? Well, yes, you are German. That has nothing to do with anything, but I'm just saying. So, Jester, hey, Jester. Now I'm signing Swedish. Hey, Jester, what did you think of the Dallas Buyers Club? I could only imagine someone who's just tuning in for the first time. You know, they're bored on a Tuesday, scrolling through YouTube, doom scrolling. They see the thumbnail, right? They're like, oh, this guy's going to bitch about Superman like everyone else is online. Clicks on the video and just sees me just babbling like a damn moron. You're like, what the hell is going on here? Wow, that's crazy. Anyway. Arnold saying he feels comfortable in this live stream because I always forget that I should write English. It's fine. I'm glad you feel comfortable. That's what I always want people to feel comfortable on these streams with anything here on this channel. So. It's not safe. What's not safe? Clone Wars? The Clone Uprising is not safe? What? Here's Jester with his review of Dallas Buyers Club. Rated a 9.7 out of 10. The acting and script were great, and the performances by McConaughey was the takeaway of the film. Oh, and the pacing of the film was terrific. Jester, can you remind me who directed that film? I remember when that movie came out, huge Oscar buzz around it. I believe it got McConaughey an Oscar nomination. Did he win that year? He may have won that year, right? You know, we have something called Google. And, you know, whenever I have a question, instead of asking people, I could just go ahead and do my own research. So why don't I just do that? But I was going to do Buyers Dallas Club. Wow. Dallas Buyers Club Oscars. Let's see here. List of accolades for Dallas Buyers Club. All right, let's take a look. Let's see. Academy Awards, Best Actor did indeed go to Matthew McConaughey, and Best Supporting Actor went to Jared Leto. So I was right. It was Jared Leto and McConaughey in that. It was also nominated for Best Picture. It was also nominated for Editing, Screenplay, Makeup and Hairstyling. That it won for Makeup and Hairstyling. So there you go. Good stuff. This came out when? In 2013? Man. That was what, 12 years ago? No, wait. Renee can't do math. 13 years ago. That's crazy. Arnold saying that this series is coming. Jean-Marc Vallée directing it. All right, let me look this up. I think Arnold is bullshitting us right now. Clone Uprising. Let's see. Let's see. Wait, not Clone. Why? All right. I did a search for Clone Uprising and it didn't come up with any results. Is it called something else? Maybe it has a different name. Here, let me look. Jean-Marc Vallée. Who's blowing up my phone? I don't know this number, so you can go to hell. You can kick rocks. Vallée. Jean-Marc Vallée is deceased. Jean-Marc Vallée died in 2021. Jean-Marc Vallée direct. Oh, for Dallas Buyers Club. Is that what we're talking about? Did he direct Jean-Marc Vallée. He's a Canadian filmmaker too, from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Hello, I am from Montreal. I like Celine Dion. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I gotta watch this movie. Jester, where did you watch it on? Is it on Netflix right now? I'm not saying I don't think it's a real series coming out. Oh, for the Clone Uprising? Yeah, I haven't heard about it. I've never heard about it, and I never seen anyone talk about it really. So I don't know if that's weird, if that's actual legit or not. Just saying, watched it on Netflix. Okay, I have to keep that in mind. I think I would love to watch this. Oh, Jennifer Garner's in it too. All right. 2013. What was I doing in 2013? I mean, I've always been into movies, but sometimes there are certain years where I'm just into other things that prevent me from watching all of these movies. I don't know why I never had a chance to watch this movie at all, which is crazy. So I'm not sure. But I think it would be nice to kind of revisit this. I put a pause on my Lynch watching just because last week was just a shit show for me behind the scenes. But I still want to see Lost Highway and Eraserhead, which I haven't seen yet. And eventually I want to get to Twin Peaks. I do want to kind of watch Twin Peaks. So why am I so tired? Yeah, my date with Natalie Portman lasted 24 hours. So, but I don't think I'm ever going to be seeing her again because I wore her out. No, I feel like a broken record at this point. I'm in the middle of a move, and most of my time when it's not involving any of my side jobs, I'm cleaning and fixing things. And this week is going to be a lot of painting for the place I'm going to. And then once I finally settle in that new place, I'm going to be basically doing the same thing for this current place because I'm going to put it on the market and sell it. So just a lot of adulting, a lot of adulting. And next week, I'm actually going to a convention in Florida, in Orlando, Florida. Convention season starting, so I have to help my friend out with his business. So I'll be taking a nice drive down to Florida. I haven't driven down south to Florida in a very long time. So I'm going to be doing that. Stopping probably along the way to North Carolina. I want to check out the Limited Run Games shop down there. If you're familiar with video games and Limited Run, they're a company known for releasing limited version physical copies of indie games, but they also do a lot of remasters and remakes. So very popular company. So they have a physical store that I've always wanted to check out, but I'd never find myself in North Carolina or anywhere close to it. So given that I am driving down there, I'm going to be passing by there. And if time and money permits, I would love to go to Disney, at least for a day, because I want to pay my respects and say goodbye to the Jim Henson wing at MGM. No, they don't call it MGM. Hollywood Studios, because that's going to be closing this summer for good. So we'll see. But I'll document as much as I can and maybe create videos for the channel along the way. Natalie loved my lightsaber, maybe a little bit too much. Am I watching the Super Bowl this year? Well, since I'll be at the convention during Super Bowl weekend, I spoke to my friend and we're probably going to end up watching the Super Bowl on Sunday, probably at a bar. We'll be at the bar in Florida and watching it there. So I heard about the store, but we don't have something like this in Germany. Yeah, Limited Run, they only have one physical store, but their presence online is massive, right? Especially when they put out new games and all that. second, like your secondhand video game stores or your whatever, they carry limited gun products. I'm pretty sure you'll see them. They have the limited run label on them. So, um, I own a lot of their releases, you know, and I think they do a really good job, especially with like collector's editions of things. So it'll be really interesting to see what the store offers and how it's all laid out and everything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The drive is going to be an interesting drive. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've driven that far south. So it'll be fun. It'll be a nice change of pace. So I will still have a live show next Monday, but then after that, I will be on the road. On the road again. Look at me, I'm on the road again. Yeah, GameStop. Oh, they closed every store in Germany? I didn't know about that. Do you still have Game? Is it Game or Gamers? There's a European chain called Gamers, I think, right? Or Game or something like that. Is that still around? Here in the United States, GameStop, they're struggling. But they're trying their best to bring business back to the stores by creating retro stores, like retro locations, or converting current stores to like retro stores. And they're going to be focusing on selling old school games, you know, older generation stuff, because obviously that's more physical. Oh, Jester, I'm going to Florida next week. So MegaCon is happening in Orlando. And as you know, late last year, I started helping my friend with his business, and we go to comic conventions and things like that. So the convention season's starting officially next month. So I'll be going to Florida for at least a week, I think. The convention's 4 days. So I'm going to be driving down there. And while I'm on my way, I'm going to be stopping by North Carolina to check out the limited run games physical shop. And any other oddity places I could think of, I'll stop by. And then if I'm lucky enough, if time and money permits, I would love to spend a day at Disney to pay my respects to the Jim Henson wing at Hollywood Studios, because that's going to be closing out this summer for good. A lot of great memories from visiting Disney and the Jim Henson stuff, you know, especially with Muppets 3D, the kind of 4D experience. That was like the last thing that Jim Henson ever worked on before he passed away. So he was very, very proud of that. So more than likely, I'm going to be driving through Georgia for sure. I remember the last time I drove down to Florida, we did pass by Georgia, and we were stuck in traffic on the 95 because there was a bad accident. So I remember I was with a friend, and I drove the first leg, so basically the first 9 hours, and then he drove the second, and I was sleeping, and I remember waking up feeling like sweating because it was in, what was it, December we drove down. So we actually felt the weather change from the cold of New York all the way to the warmth of the South. And I remember just waking up and I'm like, God damn. And I was taking off my hoodie and my jacket and all that. And I'm like, why are we stopped? And then I found out that we were stuck in very bad traffic. So if you're one day in Munich, there's a comic shop you have to visit. It's fantastic. My favorite nerd place. What's the name of it, Arnold? Give it a shout out. Give it a shout. Shout, shout, let it all out. I need more coffee. All right. Let's talk about the big topic for today. All right. Now, I don't know if a lot of you were aware, but there's a lot of hate right now for Superman because of a 3-second moment out of a 30-second teaser trailer that was meant for TV that James Gunn released. And the internet is just shitting over this whole thing. And it's because of this one image, this one segment of David Cornsweet flying, right? Now, I watched this, and my first initial thought was, we've seen a shot like this before from James Gunn. And then someone in the comments, when I was reading the comments preparing for me talking about this, posted the GIF of Guardians of the Galaxy from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And it's the same flying type of shot that Adam Warlock had, right? So it is interesting that when James likes a certain shot, he will reuse it from time to time. And it's an exact identical. And you'll see it when we go through some of the comments here later on. But the majority of the comments were, there's something off about this, right? People are calling it CG. People are calling it AI. And because of that, everyone is shitting on it. Everybody. And you could see it. Just the discourse on Twitter alone was nuts. Now, James loves threads. And I feel like he does more interactions on threads. He responded to somebody in regards to this particular shot. And we'll go through all of this, right? But what I don't understand is, why are people looking for every little thing to complain and bitch about? It's as if they just don't want a movie like this to succeed. So what do people want at this point? I'm just very curious. Now, I'm not saying everybody is like this, but it's the internet. The internet will bitch and complain about anything. But my first reaction to this, when I saw this shot in this trailer, was, it looks fine. He's flying. And I feel like I've seen this shot before. Not, oh, this looks off, or blah, blah, blah. You also have to think about it too. Things look so different on your little phone, on your monitor, when you compare it to watching something on the big screen. Night and day. And I've said this all the time. When I've seen, even when it comes to trailers, I saw a trailer on a phone or on the TV. But then when I see the trailer on the big screen, I'm like, man, it speaks so differently on the big screen. So I think a lot of people need to give it a shot. Give it a break. Let the movie speak for itself first instead of shitting over things. But look at this. First comment here. I'm very excited for this movie, but there is something about that last shot that I don't like. It doesn't look like David. When I first saw it, I thought it was AI. Compare these two images, they look like two different people. I mean, he's doing different things. He's bruised and battered, and he's on the floor, compared to flying with the wind rushing through his face. Have any of you experienced like strong winds blowing through your face, or driving in a convertible with the top down and getting that gush of wind? Most of us will probably look like what David looks like right here at the bottom. I'm just saying. You know. And then when you use like certain lenses and different angles and perspectives, things sometimes will look different. But it's such a lazy criticism now that everyone can just easily say, oh, it looks AI. This must be AI. That is like the most common criticism, lazy criticism, that you often now hear on the internet, right? So, I mean, yes, there's a lot of bad things about AI. There's some good things about AI. But the one bad thing about AI is forcing people to be lazy critics online and accusing that everything is AI related when it's really not. Also, I'm wondering why condoms is trending on Twitter right now in the United States. That's a whole different topic. Yeah. But let's see. What else do we have here? Here we go. All these great shots everyone is hyped about are just CGI. Doesn't that bother you as a filmmaker and a creative? It would bother me. The shot should be great because the director's brilliance was about to get all that he could from the actor, writer, cinematographer, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Right? Not just had a big budget to AI and CGI everything. This is from Sports and Nonsense. Samantha. You know. And then you have like commenting, people who comment on her comment. It does. Practical shots are far more impressive than stuff you can render in a video game. People like you are the reason why artists are paid in peanuts. To think that CG and creative direction isn't hard work and instead afterthought is proof you don't understand what you're talking about. This is why we don't listen to brainless Twitter buyers. This isn't CGI. Corn Switch low-key looking different in every frame. No. Even this is a green screen, so what the fuck are you rambling about? This is the classic shot from Richard Donner's Superman. And the last comment here is, this isn't CGI. Well, not Superman. The environment probably has some cuts, because it isn't a real place. All right, so that's another comment there. What else do we got? Here's the same shot I was talking about. This is from Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I believe. Or maybe this was part 2? I forget. But this is the same shot that he used that's very similar to the Superman shot, right? So this is what my first initial thought was. So I'm glad that this commenter put that out there, right? What else we got? This guy is also hating. If you had done this after the Christopher Reeves hiatus, man, probably fine. Not exciting, but not immediately dismissed. After Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder, dude, it's like going from shopping at Saks and then dropping down to Dollar Tree. So now they're calling David Cornsweet the Dollar Tree version of Superman. I also saw it saying a Temu Henry Cavill, right? What else we got? I can't. Laughing with that face. The flying scene looks a little rough, right? What else we got? I like the first teaser, but showcasing Superman's lazy eye is not ideal. All right, this guy's a troll, you could tell. Professional troll, good job. It legitimately looks terrific. David seems like a special fellow from what I've seen, and with that barrel was beautifully done. And they bring up also Adam Warlock, the flying and all that. So this guy is definitely looking forward to it. This guy's promoting his reaction video. Good job. Respectfully, the CGI looks really bad, especially during the flying sequence. I'm getting Flash vibes from this. It looks like an AI face swap. Lazy criticism. What else we got? Home away. That's funny. That flying shot, you did it again. Looks phenomenal. I don't know what's the deal with this flying horse. I don't like Henry Cavill from Temu. There you go. Another criticism. Of course, Arnold will look at the quick shot of a female and say she's hot. Oh no. ... to that face. Someone here has a poll. Which film trailer is better, the current or previous? A lot of people voting for Man of Steel. Laughing emoji. So begins the end. Again, bitching about the CGI. CGI. Here's a shot for Arnold. There, soak it up. That's for Arnold. Let's see what else we got here. I thought CGI and green screens were supposed to get better over time, not worse. LOL. This is the biggest downgrade in history of superhero movies. From Mr. Bungle. Thanks for your contribution, Mr. Bungle. I'm cautiously optimistic. What else we got? Boy, I'm really getting retargeted with Trump ads, huh? It's crazy. Oh, this is a lovely take. Look at this. This is the gayest Superman I've ever seen. God bless you, James Gunn. I don't even know how you're supposed to take that comment. I predict a flop. Good job. Took a lot of balls to post this with cross-eyed CGI Superman at the end. This guy thinking that all he could see was LeBron. This guy's very critical about what he just saw. Going to be a hard pass by Thurston Howell ×3. People can be chronic complainers. Exactly. And that is my whole point about all this. So, I mean, I can go on and on and on, and we're going to see so much hate for this, right? But like I said, on Threads, he commented on this person's comment. Looks dope, great camera angle of Superman flying, except there's something with his face that looks a little off. I know there's plenty of time to refine the CG. James Gunn then finally said, there's absolutely zero CG in his face. People's faces can look different when you put a wide-angle lens up close. The background plate in Svalbard is 100% real, as is David. So what he's saying is that they filmed the background, probably using a drone or a helicopter or maybe a plane, flying it. Very, very similar to like what they did with Top Gun Maverick, right? So they filmed those shots, and then they imposed David Cornsweet on those shots, right? Of him actually like flying. I don't think they had David Cornsweet attached to a helicopter or a plane, having them fly around and with him attached to it. I don't think David Cornsweet is Tom Cruise level type of person yet, but it looks like that's what they did. And that's like old school classic filmmaking, right? That other commenter mentioned the Richard Donner movie, right? Where it's a green screen. You have Christopher Reeve flying into the sky, and the shot behind him is real, but it's green screen in the background, right? So what's wrong with that? The Donner film had a lot of green screen in it. The one that really stands out to me the most, and back then, they didn't really call it green screen. What they did is they projected scenes on a backdrop, and they moved it around based off of the action in the front, right? So that infamous scene when Lois is falling down from the helicopter next to the building, and Superman flies up there to capture her, and also rescue the helicopter from flying and hurting everyone down the ground. You'll notice the background as it's speeding up, slows down, stops, but does like a little hiccup, right? That's because the projector couldn't catch up fast enough for the people in the front, right? But that's something that always stood out to me the whole time. It put me out of it because I knew that wasn't a real background. But it's filmmaking. Not a lot of people will catch that stuff, right? But the effect in itself still worked. Especially for a movie that came out, what, 77, 78, right? If you do that today, that's just messy and sloppy at this point. But it's just a lot of people just complain and complain and complain. You know, I didn't see anything wrong with it. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You know, but don't say that the movie's going to be shit. Don't say that the movie's going to be a flop. You know, it's just the internet just hating for hate. They will look for something to complain about all the damn time. Why? If a movie like this does not succeed, you do realize that that's going to hurt future movies in total happening, right? Is that what you want? Do you want a landscape, an environment that brings us back to the 90s where the superhero genre just didn't exist anymore? Is that what you want? Is that what people want? Do people want there to be no more DC movies, no more Marvel movies? Because everything that they're seeing now, there's complaints about this and that. That's not my Iron Man. That's not my Superman. That looks like shit. Bring back Henry Cavill. Bring back Christopher Reeve. Dig him up. Put him in a suit and have him fly around. You know, like, what do you guys want? What does the internet want? Why are you so angry? You know? And it's not like they're doing anything about it. Write your own script. Make your own movie. Oh, you can't? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, tough. You get what you get. And yeah, the best way to criticize something is to speak with your wallet. If you don't want to see it, don't go out and see it. But I guarantee you right now, most of those people who are bitching online, they're going to be watching that movie. It's called hate watching. It happens all the time. then what's going to happen? Superman becomes one of the biggest movies of the year, and people are going to probably be praising it later on. Oh my God, best movie I've ever seen. Oh, James Gunn is brilliant. Blah, 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 this, that. Look back on their past Twitter posts. Oh, this looks like crap. Blah, blah, blah. Just stop. Just stop. Stop bitching for the sake of bitching. You know, my policy, and I've said this over time and time again, I can't shit on a movie until I see it. And I'll never shit on something until I see it. So there you go. All right, let me catch up with the chat real quick. I'm sorry. I went on a little rant here. Yeah, I'm just so tired of the internet sometimes. And I'm tired in general, so. Let's see. Jester saying, I want to be able to recommend places in Georgia, but all the good places I know are local, and I don't think you'd be passing through Middle Georgia. I appreciate it. I mean, if you still want to suggest some things, please do so, but I don't even know if I'll have time to really spend time in Georgia per se, because even though I always enjoy driving and I want to stop by as many places as possible, I don't want to. I am running on a schedule, right? So I have to be kind of fast. So, but if you want to recommend something that you feel like you got to check this out, let me know, and maybe I'll have a chance to do so. Just saying, I really want the Superman movie to be good, but you have to admit the face while he's flying does seem a little blurry around the edges. Again, it's think of it this way: if you were him flying around the sky, right? How would your face look like? You know, I think it looks fine. You know, but you know, we'll see. But I think to criticize it and say it's CG, it's AI, that's lazy. I'm not saying you're saying that, but I'm saying a lot of people online. You know, the Corn Sweat has that kind of face. You know, that's just how it is. You know, I guarantee you, when Zack Snyder did the Henry Cavill movies and they did all the flying scenes, he didn't put into consideration how a person's face will look like flying 70 miles an hour. Because if you look at Henry Cavill's face, it did not move one bit. Did you see Elon Musk's? And yeah, I don't want to talk about that. You know, Elon is such a moron. Whatever. One of the coolest things I've seen is a scene from the new Bad Boys with the handgun. I thought the idea was fantastic. Yeah, what they did with that shot was very smart. And if you look at the behind the scenes of that shot in particular, they had a camera attached to them on their chest, right, looking at them. And the director, I believe, had a remote. So when Will Smith was going around, you know, shooting around corridors and all that, he would then flip the switch and the camera would turn and look forward to see the action of what was happening, right? And then he would flip the switch again, camera would flip again, back to Will Smith's face, right? I mean, it was very innovative. And the one thing I'll say about those movies, even though I appreciated the last movie, they're not fantastic movies. It's hard to capture the magic that the first two Bad Boys movies had. But I will give it to the directors, and it's a duo team. I forgot their names. They were very innovative with their shot selections and the way they were doing their filming, you know, and they took a lot of like chances and risks, and a lot of it paid off really well. And I would love to see more filmmakers take those type of chances, but I could also imagine how expensive that is to come up with something like that. So what's going on, Prosty Shinobi? I like the name. Nice of you to join in on the stream. Internet is where all the brainless NPCs go to express themselves. This whole Superman thing is absolutely childish, hilarious, and pointless. Haters are gonna hate no matter what. I totally agree. I can't agree with you more. There you go. And that's my main point about this whole thing. You know, you go back to the days of pre-internet, right? It takes a lot of hate for someone to sit down and write a letter and say, I thought your portrayal of blah, blah, blah was terrible. You have offended me and you are a disgrace and you should rot in hell. To actually write all that out fold it into an envelope, pay for a stamp, put it on that envelope, and mail it out. Just to say how much you hated something. That's a lot of energy, man. You know, and the best example of that was with the whole Jar Jar Binks situation, right? And Anakin too, right? When Phantom Menace came out. The amount of hate that those two guys got. And again, this was during a time when the internet wasn't as strong. So most of that hate came in the form of letters. To have that much energy to spend on just hating on things and making sure someone knows how much you hate them with your threats of unaliving and all that stuff. You could do much better things with that energy. You know? It baffles me every time. You know? But like I said, I guarantee you, the majority of those people who are throwing all that hate out right now, when this movie comes out, they will be there opening weekend. Why? Because they have that need to be where the people are, where the hype is, where the excitement is. They want to be able to be there and experience it because they can't help themselves. And maybe they'll be sitting at their seat waiting to hate on the movie. Oh my God, this is going to be the worst movie I've ever seen. Oh, but I just paid $20 for a ticket. And even if they like it, they're going to find something to bitch about, right? Like, the movie was okay. I have a friend like this. I know someone like this. He is like a professional contrarian. That's what I call him. And every time we go watch something or we talk about something that majority of people like, he always has to say something negative about it. You know, his common response is always, it was okay, but blah, 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 blah. You know, and that's always to be expected with everything that comes out of his mouth. It was okay, but, you know, it's like, why do you have to focus on some of that? It just, yeah, it's a waste of your time. It's a waste of energy. And it's not necessary. Now, like I said, like, for example, Jester said that he is a little concerned because the face looks just kind of off. You know, that's a fair criticism. You know, if you watch the movie and you said, you know what, I didn't like the approach James Gunn did with this, with that, you know, I didn't like this story choice, that's perfectly fine. But you've seen the movie at that point. A lot of people are hating on this. They haven't even watched the movie. I guarantee you, all of these same people are now going to Rotten Tomatoes and bashing on a movie that they haven't seen yet. Or IMDb. Or Google reviews, right? The movie's not out yet. How do you know? How do you know it's going to bomb? How do you know it's going to flop? Why would you even watch that? Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm saying, I'm quite serious. The video doesn't look bad, and the movie will probably be good, but I personally just can't see Superman. I don't like this character, and that's fine. If you don't like the choice of actor, that I can understand that, right? But give it a chance. You know, remember, one of the major criticism back in the day was when Hugh Jackman was cast for Wolverine. Everyone hated it. Again, this was early internet days. So a lot of people were in the forums, CompuServe forums, Prodigy, right? People I worked with, they were all confused. They all were like, how can you get this guy? He looks nothing like Wolverine. He's really tall, right? Wolverine's supposed to be short. He's not burly enough. This is going to be a disaster. Fast forward how many years later, Deadpool and Wolverine just came out and people are still wanting Hugh Jackman to return as Wolverine. See how funny how those things work, right? And that's all I'm saying. Give it a chance. Stop bitching for the sake of bitching. Or what like a lot of people do, they like the clickbait. They like to drag the attention. Hey, I'm going to say something absurd about this because I want people to notice me. You know, here's a funny meme that I explained what I thought about the whole thing. Stop it. Stop it. So, Shinobi says, I totally respect constructive criticism and everyone who's actually worried about the movie with good intentions, but we know 80% of the comments come from people who already made up their minds. Exactly. Against the movie, they already decided that the movie needs to fail, which in and itself, I don't understand. You know, if you hate the character of Superman and you feel like it shouldn't be made, just say like, I'm not interested in Superman. But I bet you, I guarantee they've made up their minds already on this, but they're still going to watch it. They're still going to watch it. Jester, speaking of films that aren't out yet, last week I reserved my tickets for Captain America Brave New World opening night. That's awesome, man. I am cautious about that movie. Of course, I hope it does well, and I hope it's good. I hope it's entertaining. Marvel has a lot riding on this movie right now, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see the reaction to this. Now, I believe pre-sale ticket sales and all that, it's expected that opening weekend is going to do $90 million, which in Marvel terms is okay, but it's February, right? It's also coming out on Valentine's Day weekend, which is crazy. But, you know, we'll see. I hope it does well. I'm rooting for it, you know, but if it's not going to be good, that's going to suck for Marvel, man. It's going to dictate how a lot of their expectations will change for their upcoming slate. Fingers crossed. I really do think the movie that will turn people around is Fantastic Four, you know, but that's just, I'm a little biased because I love Fantastic Four as a group. So we'll see. No, not the actor. I mean, I don't like this Superman friend. Okay. Sorry. So Arnold just doesn't like Superman in general, which I totally understand too. There's a lot of people that just they don't gel with the Superman character, mainly because he's immortal, right? He's like a Boy Scout. He's a do-gooder, and you can't seem to kill him. He doesn't seem to get hurt. So what kind of stories can you tell from that? Right? And I get that, you know, especially like whenever you ask people, who are you for, Superman or Batman, right? And they're two very opposite characters, and people will have their reasons to like one or the other, right? Like I have friends who love Superman, but I also have friends who love Batman more than the other. You know, it just depends on who you like, right? And I get that. I can totally get that. Shinomi says, at first, wait, I'm sorry. I think I'm having a stroke. When I saw the clip, at first, it took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting camera angle, and yes, I looked a little eye-eating, but then I paused and analyzed the whole scene. Then I saw a lot to love. Yikes, I really need to slow down on my typing. No, that's okay. I need to slow down on my reading sometimes because I feel like blah, 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 blah. It's like all scrambled. I feel like I'm dyslexic. What's really great to see is that, yeah, when you look at the scene and then you hear how James Gunn approached it, it kind of makes you appreciate more of what he's doing here because he's trying to do as much practical stuff as he can. And I have no reason to doubt him for that. Again, he has earned my trust because of a lot of things that he's done. The way he treated Guardians of the Galaxy, the way he treated Suicide Squad. For me, he's earned all of that. And even before that, with his other movies like Slither, oh my God, Slither is a batshit crazy movie, but I loved how he approached the movie like that. And he comes from a background of practical effects, working with the Troma people, right? So I'm confident that he knows how to, if he has the budget and the ability to do it, he will do what he can with what he can. You know, and he'll be honest about it. Sometimes I think he's a little too honest, and sometimes I think he's on the internet too much, you know, defending himself and his choices all the time. But, you know, he's passionate. You can't fault him for that. Jester saying, I wanted to see either Love Hurts with Short Round or Captain America, and I had to choose one or the other because I don't have that much money. And that's fine, Jester. You'll have, regardless of whatever happens with your feelings on Captain America, at least have a good time at the theater doing it, watching it, right? Q is saying it's the uncanny valley effect, but you can't say it's uncanny valley because it's not CG. You know, that's, again, Q, we have to correct you here, because that shot is not CG. That's him. So there's no uncanny valley effect to talk about. You know. Shinobi saying, I personally don't see a cross-eyed. He's looked at the same direction with both eyes. I only see one eye being slightly more closed than the other. Maybe it's just me. Well, again, put yourself in that situation. I saw somebody grabbing a screenshot of him doing the barrel roll and his face being all conjoined. How would you look like if you're flying 70 miles an hour in the air and you're trying to do a barrel roll? How would your face look? It's not going to look normal, right? You know, it's like, regardless of how super you are, your face is still going to react to the wind speed and all that, and the G-force and all that. Yo, I don't care who you are. Your eyes are going to be all over the place sometimes, right? I mean, it's at this point, it's just nitpicking. Let me find something to poke fun at or complain about or bitch about. You know, that's just all it is. It's all it is. Yeah. And it's crazy that it's the amount of attention that this is getting. And like, look at this comment right here. This is in response to James Gunn saying wide angle lens and all that. In that case, no offense, but the wide angle lens might have been a bad choice. Gives it that fisheye Black Adam meme look. A few shots in the trailer, Lex scowling, Soups punching out glass, had the same issues in my opinion. So now this guy is criticizing his filmmaking choices, right? And I guess that's okay, but at the same time, that's his own creative choice. You know, how can you say someone that they're making a bad creative choice? That's his vision. That's what he wants to put out there. You know, this one, regardless of it being a real face, there are obvious faults that can be seen in his eyes where they look weird, don't you think? Like, why are people like so nitpicky about this stuff? You know, it's so funny to me at this point. It really is. Arnold saying, I'm a bit suspicious of Harrison Ford's decision to do all red Hulk because I think he's not the youngest anymore. And in the future, Hulk will be expanded. I don't know how they want to replace him in case they need Red Hulk in other movies. Totally understand that criticism. Knowing how Marvel treats certain things, I have a feeling Red Hulk is a one and done thing, probably in this movie. And if they do eventually bring it back, unfortunately, they're probably going to use CG with that stuff. And Harrison Ford maybe will be called in to do voiceover work or whatever, growl here and there. But I have a feeling that the way Marvel likes to handle a lot of these characters, especially the bad guys, this may end up becoming a one and done thing. So, Shinobi say, yeah, it's just people nitpicking. Exactly. It's like, come on, guys. Like, stop. Stop. And I do understand what you mean, Arnold. Absolutely. I'm enjoying the conversation, guys. I hope you are too. Again, I'm not here to say you're wrong or you're stupid for your opinions and all that. It just baffles me how people can just nitpick and complain about the littlest things that really you don't know how it's all gonna play out when you watch the entire film. You know, I like this comment here. And this is what I was alluding to before, especially with the whole lazy use of AI as a criticism now. I like this comment. Basically, it's too practical and people think it's fake. This is about to be a classic movie. People who love it will watch it, and people who hate it will watch to pick it apart. Exactly. And if you look through the history of haters, that happens all the time. Great example is Howard Stern. You know, I'm in New York. I grew up in New York. Howard Stern was essential everyday listening to me. And in a way, kind of the person I inspired to become. as far as entertainment, being able to speak your mind and not worry about what people think about it, right? And he had so many people who would listen to him who didn't like him, who hated his opinions, thought he was vile, thought he was disgusting, but they still listened to him on a daily basis. When you watch the Private Parts movie, that's a real thing. When they talked about that, when they talked about the ratings and when they poll people, like majority of the people hated Howard Stern, but they listened. And the reason why they listened, because they wanted to see what he was going to do next. And I guess that's human nature, the curiosity aspect, right? We can't help ourselves. That's why I agree with what this guy said. Regardless of all these people nitpicking and bitching about all these things, they're still going to end up watching the movie. And even if they do like it, they won't admit that they like it because they have to continue with the hate, continue with the grifting and all that. That's just how the internet is. Welcome to the internet. I hope you enjoy your stay. So, Arnold saying, I enjoy it too. That's why I'm here, to talk to you guys and to calm down after a stressful day and to see the sexy LOWKEY geek. Well, what can I say? I bring the sexy.
I'm gonna come.
Wow.
Shinobi says, yeah, I get it. It's really sad how people online are behaving nowadays. I sometimes don't find the energy to debate those types of people, no matter what. They will not comprehend coherent arguments. No, there's no way. I mean, I remember indulging in some online debates, and regardless, and that friend I mentioned too, you can debate him all you want. There's no way he'll see your side. There are just people like that. They are just, it's my side and no other side. I'm not open enough to understand where you're coming from, your point of view. It doesn't matter. What matters is what I think. And if you look at even on the YouTube landscape, there's a lot of people like that. And that's one thing I could never understand. I could never be a part of. Because even if I don't like something and someone here says, oh, I enjoyed it, I want to know why you enjoyed it. Let's have a conversation on that. Let me understand your point of view, and then I will understand, and I'll say, I'm glad you like that for that. I'll explain why it didn't work for me. That's it. We're allowed to like and not like things. That's what makes us human, right? But to not even have the will to just have an open mind and listen to other people and be open that not everyone's going to see the same things you see, or not everyone's going to agree with what you think is right or wrong. That's it baffles me. It really baffles me. Yeah. And that's why the internet is so at times toxic, And it's unfortunate that it's spilled to other media, because now, because of this backlash, you have this outlet talking about this. You have that outlet talking about this. You have this YouTube channel talking about this. Look, I'm even part of it. I'm talking about it, right? I'm part of the machine. It's getting all the attention, but all for all the wrong reasons. At this point, I'm just making fun of it at this point. I'm just like, you guys are all clowns. At the same time, if you legitimately just feel like it looks funny, okay, it looks funny to you. That's fine. But don't start like, oh, look at his eye at frame 352. And look, see how that eye is going that way and this eye is going that way and blah, blah, blah. This, not like, wow. How long did it take you to analyze all that? Because at that time, you probably could have been looking for a job. It's funny. It just makes me laugh, at this point. I was saying, do you think Popeye movie with real actors would be well received today? No, because Popeye is not a character that is in the lexicon, the zeitgeist currently. There are no current cartoons. There are no current comic strips. There's a little bit of nostalgia with Popeye, but right now, no one is aware or probably actively thinks about Popeye. It's just unfortunately a property that has been kind of dead, So that's why when I see news like, oh, so and so is thinking of making a Mighty Mouse movie, I'm concerned because who in this day and age with this current generation remembers Mighty Mouse? Very little people. I grew up loving Popeye, and I still to this day I still have a soft spot in my heart for the Robin Williams Popeye movie. It's not a great movie, but when you look at how that movie was made, kind of fascinating, But if you show that movie to a younger generation today, they'll feel like, what the hell is this? Why am I wasting time watching a movie like this? So when something is not in the landscape, it's going to be very hard for it to be popular. So Shinobi's asking, what do I think about how the new suit looks like in motion? I love it. Fair is just a quick shot, but the colors pop. Yeah, I think so. I'll admit I was critical about the costume for a bit. Like when the shot of him lying on the floor, the costume still looks very loose in areas. So I'm a little critical about it. I'm not digging the shoulder aspect of it all. But when you see it in motion, it looks completely different. I agree. The colors are great, and though I love the color choices that James is going with the film overall. A lot of popful colors. Colors are just popping out. It doesn't look dark. It doesn't look dreary. I like that look that he's going with. It's almost like an old school, 80s kind of look to it. But it reminds me of what Superman, the filter I would see Superman in. Very colorful scenarios and situations, right? I feel like the Flash should have been more like that because Flash comes from a very colorful universe, or his part of the universe is very colorful, right? Batman is the dark and dreary, and it should always be like that and stay like that, But Superman is more of a colorful palette, and I like it. I like what he's doing with that. I'm saying I still stand by my opinion that Lilo and Stitch will be breaking records. I won't disagree. I think we've seen how people react to Mufasa, even though it wasn't a great movie. But there's so much love for Lilo and Stitch, the original, that a lot of people go out there and support that movie for sure. Shinobi saying, I'm turning 24-year-old soon. All those cartoons were before my time, but thank God for my mother. Thanks to her, I grew up watching everything classic. I love Popeye. Well, that's awesome. Well, you have an amazing mom. And your mom should be applauded for introducing you to those classics that we grew up with. Like I'm 47, just turned 47. So I grew up with Popeye, Mighty Mouse, just name it from back in the 80s and late 70s. I grew up with a lot of that stuff. And I love those things. So when I hear like the younger generation being exposed to that, it's great. Some of my friends who have kids, they will sit down with them and they'll have like throwback weekends. I just recently, I think my friend introduced their son to the 1986 Transformers movie, and they loved it. And it's great. I love hearing those stories. Like the younger generation obviously will have the things they love today, right? Bluey is a big thing with a lot of these people. Paw Patrol for the younger kids. And the only reason why I know these names is because I hear my friends talk about them. But there's stuff that we grew up with that can still hold very strongly today. Look at Arnold, Ben 10, American Dragon, right? Like that was already after my time. But it's nice that you have your things that you love. And I know Arnold was also exposed to a lot of the older things too. That's why we love, waxing nostalgic about those things from back in the day. That's why Arnold asked those great questions. Would a Popeye movie with real people work well in today's environment? And unfortunately, I just don't see it. But here's a question for you, Arnold. If they were to do a live action Popeye movie today, who would you cast as Popeye? All right, here are the characters: Popeye, Olive Oil, and Brutus. Or Bluto, depending on which name you choose to go with that one, right? Who would be those three characters? Who would you cast? Let's have a debate on that. Let's talk about that. Tom and Jerry, always all-time favorite of mine. That last Tom and Jerry movie they did, that was Straight to Max, that came out, what, in 2001? 2021, I think it was, or 2020, one of those years. I loved it. Why? Because they actually stuck to the classic charm and the classic tropes that Tom and Jerry, had back in the day. So I hope they do something like that again soon. That would be nice. Shinomi says, I love the suit from the start because it had the most important aspects for me, the colors and the classical look with the trunks, but I understand everyone has a different opinion about it. Yeah, I have to say too, I love the logo choice because it does harken to like the 52 era in the comic books. I love it. Your mother is awesome, Shinobi, for sure. Arnold saying Dolph Lundgren as Popeye? Really? Don't you think he's a little too old for that? You know who could be a good Olive Oil? And I have to say, Shelley Duvall as Olive Oil back in the 80s was a perfect choice. I feel like that's going to be very, very hard to beat, in my opinion. But today, maybe Dakota Johnson? Like, who's an actress that's kind of awkward and kind of like stringy? I don't know. I don't know if there's an actress, Anya Taylor-Joy, but I feel like she's too pretty for a role like that. Gerard Butler would be a great Bluto, I think. I feel like I could him or Russell Crowe. Could you imagine Russell Crowe? Because he in these years of his life, he's like overweight and he's very scruffy. I could see him being like the curmudgeon, angry, jealous guy. So that would be really, really interesting to see. Elizabeth Olsen? That's an interesting choice. We're talking about classic. I'm hopeful and optimistic for a Masters of the Universe movie, but also a little worried. I'm, of course, waiting until we all know more. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of these, like, classic stuff that's going to be coming out soon, right? We got the Masters of the Universe movie. We got that Voltron movie that Amazon and MGM are doing. What else? We got... I think those are, like, the two main things right now. So, yeah, I mean... I'm curious. If anything, I'm just intrigued as to how that will, turn out. But we'll see. We'll see. I feel like a lot of those projects are they're taking a long time. Understandably so. I mean, that's a big risk to bring something like that back from back in the day, but we'll see. One movie that you need to see is Dinotopia. Oh, I remember you mentioned that, Arnold, from before. Yeah, and I remember when that movie came out because that was based off of those book series, right? With humans and dinosaurs living together, like in this fantasy world. That is a classic. That also came out after my time, I think. So that's another reason why I may have missed it. Shinobi, you brought up Scooby-Doo also. I mean, Scooby-Doo, will always be an all-time classic, no matter what. I wonder if they'll ever consider doing another Scooby-Doo live-action movie today. That would be interesting. I wonder how well that would be received in today's landscape. All right. I'm going to go through some of the latest news and we could talk about some of that stuff as we continue our conversation on things. You know what? I saw this pop up because we're speaking about Marvel before, right? And obviously, some of us are looking forward to Captain America. Some of us are worried and concerned. So this article, I saw this come out, I think it was last night. Marvel overhauling Armor Wars again. This came out on Saturday. I'm here on Dark Horizons. Nearly 5 years ago came the announcement of Armor Wars, a Marvel Studios TV series for Disney Plus that would star Don Cheadle's James Rhodes' War Machine. By 2021, Yasser Lesser has been hired as head writer, and the project seemed ready to develop. But then came a number of delays. In late September, the plan had changed, and the project was to be redeveloped as a film. You all remember that? Feige in front of a big screen, like, oh, this is the series that we're working on, blah, blah, blah. And there was Armor Wars, right? Ironheart was not that far off from it. And then back on the big screen again, and here's our movie slate. And now Armor Wars is turning into a movie. I remember all that crap. Then came 2023 Secret Invasion. The costly and widely panned limited series laid some groundwork for War Machine's story by revealing that a Skrull had been impersonating him for some time, though it's not clear just how long. Since its release, there hasn't been a peep about how Armor Wars is going until an update from Daniel RPK via Comic Book Movie News this week, which claims that the project is on hold. They say Marvel Studios is reworking the project following the Secret Invasion backlash, and it's officially on hold, not canceled. Reichman also says Armor Wars is also expected to focus on entirely different things than originally planned. Those original plans were rumored to include the return of Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer. Either way, the project isn't likely to continue until after the Avengers Secret Wars film opens in 2027. So what are your thoughts on this? This is what I'm going to say. It shows once again how blind Marvel was really acting on a lot of these TV series that they were putting on Disney Plus. Kevin Feige, we already knew, was not so heavily involved, and he was stretched out too thin. But the mandate by the prior regime before Bob Iger came back was show. We need more output, more content on Disney Plus. So everyone's scrambling to make their own shows. And Armor Wars, unfortunately, was part of that crazy, chaotic mess. Look what happened to Ironheart. Ironheart has been ready to be released for the last 3 years, I think, at this point. But there was big backlash from the second Black Panther when she was introduced, and how a lot of people didn't really gel with her. I think they mishandled that whole introduction of hers anyway. They should have never done that in Black Panther 2. Just my opinion, right? That movie was just cursed because of all the unfortunate situations with Chadwick Boseman and all that. But it took them this long, and now we're finally going to get Ironheart this year, right? Armor Wars, we should have gotten already by now, but it kept getting pushed. My gut feeling is telling me that we're never going to see Armor Wars. I don't think we're ever going to get it at this point, because Secret Invasion was such a slap in the face to a lot of us. You know, the fact that you're telling us that the Rhodes that we've known ever since Civil War was not really him. And he was like captured and kept in captivity by the Skrulls this whole time. Interesting twist, but really like a big FU to a lot of us, right? And because of a lot of stuff that transpired from Secret Invasion, that could have been a great entryway into what we could have been seeing in Armor Wars, really hurt that part of the universe. That's why, you know, you have a lot of skepticism coming in with Captain America. Because guess what? War Machine is going to be part of that storyline. So how are people going to react to that part of it, right? And I think whatever happens with the reception of Captain America could potentially dictate what's going to happen with Armor Wars, whether or not we're going to see it. I just think at this point, with Marvel focusing on so many different things, do we really need an Armor Wars storyline at this point? I don't think so. It's on hold, but that's also a nice way to say that they may consider not making it anymore. Remember, Patty Jenkins' Star Wars movie, the whole Rebel Assault type movie with Top Gun in space, that's on hold. The Taika Waititi Star Wars movie is on hold. I don't think we're ever going to see those movies. Great ideas. I would have loved to see Top Gun in space for Star Wars, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Armor Wars, great in concept. I love the Armor Wars storyline in the comics. That was my generation. I remember reading that. I love seeing all the Iron Mans and suits and all that battling each other. Awesome stuff. But our Iron Man is no longer in existence. War Machine is cool, but doesn't have the same love that Iron Man had. So I think at this point, a little bit too late. So I don't think we're ever going to see it. Shinobi said, it seems Armor Wars, like Blade, is just another movie that doesn't fit with their current storyline. Secret Invasion failed hard. Absolutely. Blade, on the other hand, when you're talking about like the supernatural aspect of the Marvel Universe, there's a lot to work with there. I just don't think they really had the right landscape or the right plan for it. Because Werewolf by Night was fantastic. And Werewolf by Night falls within this whole supernatural part of the Marvel Universe. The Eternals, I don't understand what the whole post ending thing was. To have Mahershala Ali's voice as Blade say something to Kit Harington there at the end. Because it had to deal with the Blade and he's supposed to be like the Black Knight or whatever. That was just more of like, hey, by the way, there's Blade. He's coming soon. Watch out. But the whole supernatural thing, you know, WandaVision, Agatha, you know, you had Moon Knight, which I think they fumbled on hard too. You know, great start, really bad ending. They just were not prepped on what they were going to do with that version of the Marvel Universe. Because there's a lot of great potential there. You know, Moon Knight, Blade, Werewolf by Night. You know, Daredevil is supposed to be a part of that world too. So maybe we'll see what happens when Daredevil comes out, which I'm super excited for. I can't personally wait for that. I'm a huge Daredevil fan, even from when I was a young kid. Love the Netflix shows. So Daredevil will probably lay the groundwork for what we could potentially see for the more grounded and / supernatural side of this universe. If Daredevil does well and knocks it out of the park, then we could potentially see Blade being fast forwarded. You know, we still also don't know who, if any, of the Defenders are showing up. The rumors were Jessica Jones is going to be there. We might see Luke Cage somewhere. Are we going to bring back Danny Rand as the Iron Fist? We don't know. You know, obviously we are getting Punisher, which is great. You know, but this is the world, this is the part of the universe where we could see Blade pop in, Moon Knight come back. Werewolf by Night. Bring that storyline back, because that little short movie they did was brilliant. I loved it. And werewolves are apparently a big thing again. You know, you got Robert Eggers. He just did a vampire-like movie, Dracula-like movie. Now his next project is going to be about a werewolf. We just had Wolfman came out. So that's going to be back in the lexicon again. Bring it back. They did such a great job with it. So, am I surprised that now they're reworking Armor Wars? No, I'm not surprised, because there's a lot of projects they announced that they should probably start reworking and refiguring out what they're going to do, because their plan, or original plan, if you could even call it that, was just not working. Shinobi says, I believe Secret Invasion had the potential to be a major movie event. Absolutely. It needed great writers and a good director behind it. Absolutely. That was a very missed opportunity with Secret Invasion. Big, big missed opportunity. And now it's going to happen to Arnold's favorite, Emilia Clarke, who is supposed to have the superpowers of every major character in her. What's happening with her now? Are they going to try to like quietly sweep her under the rug and be like, oh yeah, that happened, but we don't talk about that anymore. We'll create a storyline that says somehow she ventured out into space to find herself. Yeah, okay. Arnold saying Blade had this one franchise. Blade is amazing. They have so many options. All the Monsters Marvel franchise is my favorite part of Marvel. I agree. It's a fun part of that universe. And they have so many things they can do with it. They just need someone. They just need to sit down and lay it all out and say, "This is how we're going to treat it. Right? This is what we should do moving forward." But again, we learned, or we are learning, that things just went a little crazy, and there was no plan. Feige was stretched too thin, but now they're reeling back. I'm a little concerned because this year looks very busy for Marvel, busier than it should be. We have Captain America, Fantastic Four. On the TV side of things, we have that new Spider-Man cartoon coming out, which looks fun. That looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. We have Ironheart coming out, the new Daredevil series coming out, right? That's already over 5 stuff that we have coming out from Marvel. A little bit too much than I'm hoping for. But we'll see. We'll see how it all works. But I am a bit concerned. A little bit concerned. Shinobi says, I agree. They announced Blade without really having the proper landscape for the introduction of this whole supernatural aspect of the Marvel Universe. I hope they could find a way to fix it, because there's a lot of potential here. Obviously, there's people who still love Wesley Snipes' Blade. We all saw the major reaction when he popped up in Deadpool and Wolverine. Spoilers, if you haven't seen it yet. They even poke fun at themselves. I'm the only Blade there ever will be. Yeah, okay. Nice little joke. But I think we need a Blade, and I thought Mahershala Ali was a perfect choice. And I still think it's a perfect choice. But they need to do something about it, because, let's face it, the more you delay it, the more his interest is going to wane. And you can't stop him from doing other projects, because Marvel projects takes time out of people's schedules. How much longer can he put himself on hold for that project? I don't think that much longer. Look, we haven't seen Mahershala Ali do much of anything lately. Is it because he's waiting for what's going to happen with Blade? I hope not. But we'll see. Shinobi said, I personally don't judge Kevin Feige so hard because of the situation happening behind the scenes at Disney. Of course, many people don't even know about that whole situation. No, of course not. But at the same time, the minute I started hearing his name pop into other conversations, like, oh, Kevin Feige is now going to be directing a Star Wars movie. Wait, what? Why? Why is he now being involved in Star Wars? I thought he's so busy with Marvel. Stop. It's a little bit too much. I was saying the scene in Werewolf by Night where all the monsters hang on the wall alone. They can make a story of each of those monsters. I mean, remember, they also introduced Swamp Thing. Man Thing. Swamp Thing is DC, which is another movie that they're working on. But Man Thing in Werewolf by Night. I want to know more about Man Thing. Give us more Man Thing. Yeah, Werewolf by Night was awesome. I really, really liked it. I need to rewatch that. I never watched the colored version. Yeah, Arnold, loved the movie when they brought it back with colors, because I loved the whole classic black and white. And I loved how at the end, the colors was bleeding back into the movie, right? Very, almost like a Wizard of Oz effect, right? I would love to see how it looks like in full color, It just gives me an excuse to watch it again, because it's been a while, and I thought it was a really well done movie. Yeah, Shinobi. I mean, I'm curious to see how it would look like in full color, for sure. But there's so much potential there to do many things. I feel like they're just sleeping on it right now. Or they're just trying to figure it out, and it's just not working, right? So. Arnold saying, I love it because it has a lot to do with Romania and Transylvania in the Monster Marvel world. No, absolutely. It's always nice when something involves your heritage in your neck of the woods. That's always really fun. All right. I'm just looking at if there's any other news articles we can talk about real quick. I mean, there are little bits of things here and there. I mean, what's everyone's take on the new Resident Evil reboot happening? Do we need another Resident Evil franchise? I feel like we're kind of tired of it at this point. No, nobody's optimistic about how Fantastic Four might come out. I am very optimistic, but also I have to be a little cautious at the same time. But I'm biased. I said this in a previous stream. The Fantastic Four characters have always been my most favorite characters in the Marvel universe ever since I was tiny. I was thinking the other day as to why that is, and I think I vividly remember growing up watching the old Hanna-Barbera Fantastic Four cartoons as a kid, and there was something so fascinating about that family dynamic, the family team up. And then when I finally started reading the comic books, I really loved the chemistry amongst everybody. So I'm very biased. Fantastic Four, I love everything Fantastic Four. The Tim Story movies that came out back in the day with Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, Michael Chiklis, all that stuff, I thought was okay. I think I forced myself to love it more than it really was good, But I love that they kept it campy and humorous. A very generational version of the Fantastic Four. I was very upset the way they screwed the whole Galactus thing up. A very freaking giant cloud. Just very disappointed with that. So now that Marvel is under Kevin Feige and Disney, and I knew they were going to eventually tackle Fantastic Four, I was always hopeful that they're going to do justice. Then when the casting announcement came out, I was over the moon. I love Pedro Pascal. Unique choice, but I could see him do it. Vanessa Kirby is one of my favorite new actresses today. I think, not only is she great looking, but I think she can really do a good Sue Storm. Joseph Quinn is killing it. Everything that he does, from Stranger Things to Quiet Place to Gladiator 2, everything he's in, I enjoy his performance, right? And then the other guy, Backrack, very strong character actor. I'm very curious as to what kind of thing he's going to give us. So I think the casting is brilliantly done. I love the aesthetics they're going with, the kind of very retro-esque future, right? I love that. From what I'm hearing, it's not the current universe, but with all the multiverse, they're eventually going to tie in together and maybe find their way. If you know the Fantastic Four, Reed travels through dimensions and time. He just does that, right? So I could see them eventually do that to get into our main Marvel universe. So I'm excited. Could I be disappointed? Potentially. But fingers crossed, because I'm looking forward. If this movie hits home and knocks it out of the park, Marvel's in a good position, because I think a lot of people are waiting for this Fantastic Four movie to do well. It's going to be this and whatever they decide to do with X-Men, which the rumors right now is that they might, ask the Russos to write the treatment for the new X-Men movie. I don't know if they're going to direct, but they're going to at least tackle the script writing. So that's going to be interesting if that's true. I mean, we all love what they did with Marvel when it came to Civil War and taking care of, Endgame and Infinity War. So we'll see. Arnold saying, I love Fantastic Four very much. I don't like the 2015 movie. Well, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. We haven't seen anything major, but I hope it turns out great. I hope so too. I did see the little snippets that they showed at Comic-Con that was never released to the public, but I saw someone, post it online. I had to, because I was very curious. And I kind of like the look. I really do. It looks like it's going to work out well. But again, we won't know until the movie comes out. Shinobi saying, I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I love the games and the animated movies. I even appreciate the live action films because I grew up with them. But of course, they weren't great. I just cannot get excited for another live action project until I see anything to be excited about. So far, I love the director choice. Barbarian was a pleasant surprise. I agree. Barbarian was one of those movies that came out that I wasn't sure what to expect. But when I finally did see it, I was blown away by it. And this was when I was returning back to the world of horror, right? Um, I love Justin Long in that movie, man. He is so funny. You want to hate him so bad, but you just can't keep your eyes off of him. And of course, Bill Skarsgård. I love that twist because we only know him as a bad guy, as a creepy dude, right? So of course you're all expecting him to be behind all of this, and I love that they threw a wrench in the whole thing, and that wasn't the case. But if you're a fan of Barbarian, I have to recommend. I didn't get a chance to talk about this yet, but I did have a chance to see Companion last week. I was able to go to a screening of that last week, and that movie's coming out this week, and I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. It is a little bit more funny than I was expecting, but the chemistry between Jack Quaid and Sophie Turner is fantastic. Jack Quaid, he's going to have a big year. With the return of the boys later this year, he has this other movie coming out that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. He's amazing in this movie. You get a good amount of thrills in here, some gore and violence, not so much. I love the look. It's very Stepford Wives kind of look, reality. Also reminds me a lot of Ex Machina and Westworld. So if you're a fan of any of that stuff that I'm talking about right now, then you're going to be in for a treat for Companion, because I think this is going to be a fun movie for a lot of people. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll post my full review later on the channel, maybe by Thursday morning. But I was lucky enough because Sophie Turner did a Q&A after my screening. So I recorded all of that too. And I'll post that on the channel as well. If you're new to the channel, Shinobi, I believe you're new to the channel, right? And by the way, thank you for joining. I love the conversation we're having. I'm lucky enough to attend screenings that has Q&As afterwards. So I have a tendency to love posting the Q&As on the channel because I record them all. So the big one is from I'm Still Here with Fernanda Torres and Walter Salas doing Q&A afterwards. So because of the whole Oscar buzz, that video is performing very well now. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, make sure you do. But this week, hopefully by maybe late tomorrow or also Thursday, I'll have the Sophie Turner Q&A posted on the channel. So big fan of Yellow Jackets. I can't wait for that series to return because I'm a big fan of it. Let's see. Shinobi saying, same here. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm also cautious about it. Fantastic Four deserves better. I agree. Do you think we'll see Scarlet Witch again? I do. Scarlet Witch is such a big character in the Marvel Universe, especially once the mutants are involved, when we get the X-Men involved. The minute we get our Magneto, Scarlet Witch is such a major, important character that she has to come back. And I do hope Elizabeth Olsen remains as her, because I think she plays the character very well. Regardless of what people think of her performance in Multiverse of Madness, the Sam Raimi Doctor Strange movie, she still had elements of Scarlet Witch in that. That whole scene of her coming out of the shards of glass, like kind of like all like disconjointed and all that, that is such a Scarlet Witch thing to do. How she did Professor X dirty in that other universe. I mean, come on. Great stuff there. She should come back, and I would love to see her come back. Shinobi says, same. I was like, this movie is nothing I expected. Gotta give props for the marketing of that movie. It gave nothing. It didn't give anything away, and it made it look like it was gonna be a total different movie. Yeah, they definitely threw the audience off with the marketing, right? And again, it's just so easy to think that Bill Skarsgård was going to be the person behind it all because of what we're so familiar with and what we're used to seeing him as, I should say. It was a great twist. And again, Justin Long, that guy is a gem, man. He's so good in it. Shinobi said, I'll check it out for sure. Awesome. Cannot wait for the X-Men to finally get involved. Secret Wars is probably going to be the door for the introduction. Yeah, I would assume so. I would assume that's when we're going to get our X-Men, or at least some of the X-Men intros, right? So, and just real quick, I know we're not talking about it, but the whole Robert Downey Jr. as Doom, don't take that at face value. I'm pretty sure it's a Doom clone or it's a Doom from an alternate universe. I think that was the casting choice is kind of smart when you think about it because you want to get that visceral reaction from the Marvel universe. What would happen if this big bad guy shows up and the revelation is that it's Tony Stark? How do you think Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to react? How do you think everyone else is going to react to that? Right? There's going to be mixed emotions, conflict, that understanding that this is not our Tony, right? I think it's smart to throw things off, but that is, I don't think that's he's going to end up becoming our main Doom. I think it is just a clone or an alternate universe Doom. Do you know the actor Reggie Lee? I love his work. Let's look him up. I'll probably be on for like another 5 to 10 minutes, guys, before I head on out. I usually like to stick to 2 hours, but I'm enjoying the conversations today, guys. I've been so tired that it's keeping me energized, and I really appreciate you all for helping with that, for sure. Reggie, what's his name again? Reggie Lee. Oh, where have I seen this guy? I've seen this guy before. Oh, he was on the show Grimm. Is that right? Underrated actor, according to Arnold. Looks like he does a lot of TV. He's a big TV actor. I've never watched Grimm, but I have heard good things about it. He was also in Persons Unknown, the Fugitive series. Let's see. Has he done any movies? Oh, he was in Drag Me to Hell. I've never seen that movie. Interesting. He's a very good actor. Why do you like him so much, Arnold? Like, what is it about his acting that you like? Shinobi saying it's a smart choice. I just don't want to be Tony Stark. I want him to actually be Victor Von Doom, but we'll have to wait and see. Fast and Furious. Oh, he was in Fast and Furious. Was he? Oh, the very first one. Oh, I see. Huh. Who did he play in that? God, it's been such a long time since I've seen the first Fast and Furious movie. His personality and the love to act. Oh, that's awesome. He sounds like a nice guy. God, the first Fast and Furious movie. I saw that in the theater opening weekend at a movie theater that is no longer around. The movie theater closed last year. I actually went to that theater on its last day. I recorded footage of it, but I never posted the video. So that's something I need to work on. But I remember watching it opening weekend. And there was not a movie like that ever before that kind of showcases and highlights the whole streetcar racing scene, right? Now, the area of New York where this was shown, there's a lot of body shops in the area. The car culture in that portion of Queens, New York was very strong. So hearing the conversations of people afterwards of, oh man, that scene reminded me of this time when I was driving and blah, blah, blah. You know, these are all car enthusiasts, you know, those who like love JDM parts and do all that stuff with the modifications to their cars. It was so fascinating to see the excitement that they had, that there was a movie that now represents their culture. You know, I don't think any of us ever expected that this movie was going to be the phenomenon it was, to spawn so many sequels and still survive even today, even though the last movies have been like just nutty and nonsensical. Still, there's so many people that love the series and grew up with it. So it's amazing to see how much this Fast and Furious franchise evolved. He was one of the Chinese villains. Oh, okay. Playing one of the Yakuza guys. He was like the right hand of the villain. Oh, okay. Two brothers, and he is the one that destroyed. Oh, now I remember. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Now I remember. I'm going to pull up a picture because I remember now who you're talking about. Man, when I look at these, yep. Yeah, he was a guy. Yeah, he had the cool hairstyle and everything. Yeah, very suave. Yeah. This is the one where the brother races the other guy. And the car crashes and he dies or something like that, right? The car blows up. Man, everyone's so young in this movie. Holy cow. Such a long time ago. Vin Diesel's so young looking here. Wow. Time flies. Gotta tell you. Wait, you have an autograph of the whole Grimcast, Arnold? Is that right? That's pretty amazing. That's awesome, dude. That's really awesome. You would, if you lived in the States, you would love the business that me and my friend are involved in with the comic conventions. Because basically we help people secure autographs. And if you want your comic graded and stuff, that we help you facilitate that as well. But man, that is awesome. Yeah, the last time, I think I mentioned this before, the last convention I was working at, I had the opportunity to meet Josh Brolin, because that was one of the jobs I had to do. Very nice guy. Fun conversation we had together. All right, guys. I think now is a good time for me to call it for today. This was a very chill stream. Obviously, not as much topics to talk about like previous shows, but I love the conversation we had. I really do. We covered some news, talked about my grievances with the whole Superman situation, but it is what it is. But I really, really thoroughly enjoyed the conversation with everybody here. So really appreciate it. Shinobi saying Grimm was a very good show. It got a little rushed at the end, but it was good. I have never seen it. Is it on Netflix now? I don't know. That was something I was always curious about. That was a show I was always curious about, but never got around to it. But anyway, I want to thank everyone who joined in on the stream and were part of the chat. Like I do every time, I like to thank everyone for joining in. Arnold, obviously a major pleasure all the time. Jester, always a big pleasure. And newcomer Shinobi, very happy to see you here. Hope to see you again in future streams and all that. I will be back again, hopefully, if there's no conflict on my side, next Monday. I usually stream Mondays, 3 p.m. Eastern time. So I will be back next Monday, talk about the weekend box office, talk about anything that's happening and popping in the news. That'll be a stream right before my trip to Orlando, Florida, where I'll be attending MegaCon. If you happen to be in the Orlando area, MegaCon, look out for me. I'll be running around the crazy convention, securing autographs, chasing artists down. If you happen to see me, stop me and say hi. Jester, the stream was amazing. I'll see you next week. Have a great week. You too. Hope everyone here has a great week as always. Don't forget, tip your waitress, tip your bartender, turn off your phones at the movie theaters. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe, and I will catch all of you next week. Shinobi, great conversation. Ran scrub through, you can check the stream. Well, I'm glad you did. Welcome aboard. Hope to see you next time. All right, peace out, everyone. Bye-bye.